the original season 3 finale, The Bloody Crown. Coming off of the last episode, I was very excited to see how things were going to play out in this finale, and it was way crazier than I was expecting. I was like, I don't know what their plan is for this, but it was really cool. I love the way everything played out. I think the way they did the cliffhanger, it was probably one of my favorites. I think it's one of my favorite cliffhangers they've done for the season, and it really leads into like just a crazy change. Like the last one did the same thing, which ultimately was supposed to be like the werewolves and stuff, and then they kind of cut that out in like 2 or 3 episodes. They killed all of them off, but this is something that I believe is supposed to last for 3 years because, and I mentioned this before, but with the Vampire Diaries this season, when they were doing sort of their time jumps in the openings of most of the episodes, it would be like, oh, 3 years later. And so they had someone looking for Klaus, and I don't want to give too much away just in case anyone's not caught up, even though that was like, I'm pretty sure that was in the first half of the season, but just in case. Even though I already mentioned who did it already in one of my old reviews. But someone goes to look for Klaus, and he's gone. And it's like, oh, Klaus isn't here, and he's been gone for like 3 years, and they don't talk about anything else in the show. But obviously, with them being in the same universe, it's like somehow they're gonna have to connect these shows if they're jumping, 3 years in the Vampire Diaries. They have to do the same thing for the originals, otherwise they can't possibly, do the crossovers, which technically they could, and it would be the characters before, the time skip, and we see some stuff in between. But I think the way they're going to do it is they're going to skip the 3 years, and I'm excited to see how that plays out, because if they are going to go that route, and it's like, oh, Klaus isn't here, we don't know where he is, which we now know he's actually been buried alive, or I guess technically he's not buried, he's entombed alive, he wasn't buried. So we know where he is, but if they do choose to go with the 3 years where no one's really seen him, then that means Marcel has had 3 years to take back the city, and he's had 3 years to do whatever he wants. He and Vincent, we find out, are not really going to be good friends by the end of the episode, which I thought was actually pretty great. I mean, they go through all this stuff. We have, the copy actually gets bit, although he was just, in pain because he didn't actually die from it. So he's fine. It just hurt like crazy, I'm sure. But Vincent saves him, and we find out that all the vampires in the gym, or the church, were actually the Strix, because of course, Marcel knew, like, I have to take them out if I'm going to go after Elijah, because despite what they think, they aren't going to want to die, because they would all die off if, Elijah died. So it was pretty crazy. I was like, man, he went in and he killed them all, which made sense. Like, he did have to kill them. When I thought about it, I was like, yeah, it makes sense, because they're, even if he's the leader, above all else, they're going to try to protect Elijah, as well as themselves, because if he dies, since they cut off the link, if he dies, they would die, so they'd still try to protect him no matter what. And so Marcel had to kill all of them off, and he just left them, just strewn all over the place. He impaled a dude, people just dead all over the freaking place. So Vincent realized, like, he's basically the same, and he says it at the end, which I love that they had him say this. He was like, I'm tired of you and your family, because that was the whole thing, is that Marcel felt like he wasn't a part of the Michelsons. And they have that scene where he's looking at Klaus, and then he looks up, and they have his emblem, like the M, on the stone M on the wall. And that's when Vincent comes in, and it's like he groups him with the Michelsons, like, it is your family, it's just the same stuff over and over again. It's you, him, and everybody else, all the originals, which he officially is one now. At this point, he has the power of one, so I guess that kind of makes him an original. It's the same thing, and I love that. I thought that was really cool that he did that. And he was like, you did this by any means necessary. Consequences be damned. And it's like, so I'm gonna take back, the gym, and I'm gonna turn it back into a church, and I'm gonna invite whoever wants to come, werewolf, witch, vampire. It doesn't matter, as long as they're tired of the same crap you and your family are constantly putting the city through. And I love that. And he's like, if you come after me, which was super ballsy on his part, even though he's a witch, he could have stopped him. But it was like, if you come after me, I'm going to take a chapter from your playbook, consequences be damned. So I was like, that was actually super cool from Vincent. And I get the feeling Vincent's going to be a nice, I don't know, it's hard, I can't call him an antagonist, because I like Vincent, and, I mean, you watch the show, the originals are never, the Michelsons never really do the good stuff, so they're kind of the antagonists when you look at it. So I'm excited to see where they take Vincent's character. It seems like he's really going to be in charge. He had the speech early on in the episode where he's talking with the other witches, like, you guys got to trust me. Like, Marcel is going to get rid of the Michelsons, and we're going to take back the city. And he realizes he was kind of wrong because it was a small thing, and it started off small too. And it's like, oh, I'm just going to kill all these vampires and just leave them for anybody to find. So he knew that it starts simple, but it'll get bigger and bigger. So I'm excited to see what in the world they do with that conflict. I'm assuming Marcel isn't gonna like go all out and try to attack Vincent, because he probably recognizes that he did kind of screw up. It was, consequences be damned, and he succeeded in his goal, but he lost that friendship, so that's kind of done regardless of what happens next. But if they do the 3-year thing, there's going to be a lot of change, and I'm excited to see where they take it. But there's just so much craziness in this episode. I mean, we got Rebecca back, which is very cool. Once again, Rebecca just has like the worst, treatment ever. It really sucks. She comes in, it's like, alright, she's cursed. And then, of course, at the end, the curse is getting worse and worse, so she goes back to sleep anyway. But, man, the way it started off when Marcel first came in the house, that was insane. That was like a great freaking scene, because I was like, I don't know what's about to happen. I mean, he bit Cole at first. I was like, oh, well, if they keep killing Cole, he's fine. But, I figured he'd actually be gone this time. I was like, because he's died, like, I'm pretty sure he's died more than anybody else. Maybe he and Finn have died the most, because Finn was killed in the Vampire Diaries, as was Cole. I guess he was only killed once in the Vampire Diaries. I felt like he was killed a couple of times in that too, but all I remember is he died in a freezer one time. Finn died in like the alleyway, and then I guess when they were both brought back, they both died in this twice. So I don't know. It's been pretty nuts for the both of them. But you bit him and he threw him against the wall. I'm like, holy crap! Marcel's just fighting everybody off. Then he bites Elijah in the arm and stuff, and he tosses him, and I'm like, he just bit both of them. There are no cures. They still don't have a cure, which is probably my favorite reason behind the ending. Is like, they don't have a cure for any chaos that's coming, that's landed on top of the family. We have Klaus, who's been stabbed with like the dark magic dagger, the bone dagger. So he's all messed up, but that was a part of the plan so that he wouldn't actually be killed, so that he could be the tether, the magical link to the rest of the family, because Frey's been poisoned, so they can't find the cure for that. Everybody else has been bit. That's basically it. Frey is poisoned, Rebecca's cursed, Elijah's bit, Cole is bit. They're all screwed, so they're all just stuck together, and we have Haley in the giant moving truck and Hope, and they're just driving cross country until they figure out what they're going to do to save their family. And then they'll have to go back to actually get Klaus and get the dagger out of him, which they'd have to find him, which tomb he's in. So then they'd have to do that, and then they'd still have to find a way to defeat Marcel, which I'm assuming if they had the cure, it wouldn't be as big of an issue. It's like, oh, I got bit again, and here's a little shot. But I love the way that it ended. It was just like pure chaos for the whole family. Everybody's down except for Haley and Hope, and they can't exactly just sit around doing nothing. So I'm assuming Haley's going to be going to most likely the clans, because that was the big thing. Was like, well, all we can do is try to figure out if we can get a cure, if we mix the venom and then make an anti-venom or something like that. That's probably going to end up being the cure. And then they have to find a specific cure to the specific poison that was used on Freya, because it was supposed to be in Lucian's apartment, but it's such a specific poison that it's very, very risky. But I love the way this episode played out. It was a really great finale. I think it was probably my favorite finale so far, just because everything is, I mean, with it being a finale, every finale pretty much for every show is like some huge change is coming or has happened, happens in the finale. But just the way this one happened, I think it changes the dynamic way more than anything else has, because the characters are going to actually be gone. They are actually knocked out. They can't wake up and fight back until there is a cure, which I'm sure we'll see like within the first 2 episodes in the next season, because otherwise it's just going to be Haley and Hope, and then Marcel and Vincent and what's going on with them. So I'm assuming we'll get to see some of that, which they'll probably do, which, even if it was 2 or 3 episodes, that's still interesting, because we get to see what Marcel has rebuilt for the city, and how he and Vincent, as well as, the witches in general, now that they're cut off from the ancestors, how they've kind of developed over, the course of 3 years, which Like I said, I'm assuming that's what they're gonna do, because that way they can actually do the crossovers with the Vampire Diaries. But I'm excited for that. I don't know. I mean, it just seems very interesting where they're taking things. It's going to kind of take it back a little bit to the beginning of the series where Marcel was in charge a lot. Except this time he'll be way more in charge. And there will at least be a little pocket of freedom with Vincent's church. But who knows how long that'll last? Like, how far will Marcel go before he is just a part of the family? You know, when he's just acting like Klaus or something. Like, I want to be in control of everything, which he was. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened, because he was in control of everything. He was in control of the witches. Like, oh, you guys can do this or you can do that, and we let you all live. I wouldn't be surprised if he went right back to that, because why wouldn't he? I mean, he cared about Davina. She's dead. He cared about Vincent, and he destroyed that relationship. Those are the only two witches he even remotely ever cared about, so I don't think he's going to care anymore about any of the other witches. So I'm really looking forward to what they do for season 4. I think it's going to be actually really exciting. We might get a couple of cool crossovers, because next season is also the final season of the Vampire Diaries, so they'll probably do a lot of crossovers to kind of utilize the characters, you know, within their final season. So I'm very excited for that as well. Some cool crossover stuff, and maybe some of the answers that the originals need are going to be in the Vampire Diaries, and vice versa, because we have some other crazy stuff coming up, especially with it being the final season of the Vampire Diaries. Some crazy villain stuff going on there with our final, you know, big bad, so they might need some answers as well from, you know, the cast of the originals. But we'll see how everything plays out. They need a lot of freaking cures. They need super venom cure. They need a poison cure. I would love to see Claire Holt come back as a main cast member playing Rebecca. I don't know if that's going to take place or not, but I would love to see her come back, because it's been such a long time, and I love seeing her. You know, the couple episodes we get with her, they're always really cool. But I want to see her, you know, like everyone, I think, I want to see her come back as a main cast member. But she has a child now, and that was kind of the main reason why she left to begin with. So it might be possible, might not be possible, but I would love to see it if she was able to come back. That'd be really cool. And if they do skip the 3 years, we will also have an older Hope, which would be fairly interesting as well. Just the little dynamic of that, I think, would be pretty entertaining. So definitely want to know what you guys thought about this finale. Please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts. And of course, gotta ask you guys what you think is gonna happen for the next season. I mean, everybody's knocked out. Marcel is in charge. If they really do skip the 3 years, which I assume they will, because like I said, otherwise the crossovers would be a little weird. It would be like, oh, this happened, you know, in between and stuff like that. And plus, it wouldn't make the crossovers as cool, because, you know, they have like the big final villain of the series. It would be a little useless not to have some crossovers in the next season that involve like the main villain, because it's the last season of the Vampire Diaries. So I'm assuming they'll skip the 3 years. Plus, that allows for a huge shift within the series, because if Marcel has 3 years to build things up, that's going to be different. New Orleans is going to be different, even compared to the first season when he was still in charge then. He's an original, basically, in charge now, and the witches can't possibly fight back, even though they weren't even then. But they can't possibly fight back. They have no connection to the ancestors. Everybody's all messed up, so I really hope they go with the 3-year skip, because it would just allow for such a crazy shift within the show. But definitely want to know your expectations for season 4. What you guys just want to see in general for season 4. And of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this finale. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.